We were just going to introduce the film very quickly, so we already have some questions.
Yeah, that's good. That's why it's called a Q&A.
Yeah, if you could introduce yourself and say a little bit about the film.
Okay, so thanks everybody for coming. My name is Tina Traster. I am the director and co-producer of Catnip Nation, the film you've just seen. We've made this film to make change in the world. There are so many people who are completely unaware that we even have a problem like this. So many people love cats, but there's a whole disconnect to this whole dark side of their story and the help that they need. And for people who are in on this world, they understand how difficult it is to get the message out there, to get help, let alone to not be oppressed by every political system or legal maneuver, just simply for doing an act of kindness. One of my favorite lines is from Ray Jones, when he said that kindness should not be illegal or prosecuted, or that the states should not prosecute kindness. So with that, I'm looking at a room full of people who largely understand this issue, and I'm happy to take questions.
Real quick, what was you spoke a little bit about it. What was the original inspiration? There's the cause and there's
Yeah, well, I stumbled into it by accident. I'm a cat lover. I am somebody who has always been tuned into protecting the underdog, or like I like to say, the undercat. And but I'm a journalist at heart, and I started to just interview people in the cat world, and started to understand that the cat world was not just cat videos and not all this fun stuff, that there was really, as I said, a dark side. And when I understood that there was a situation like this, then we just started to pursue stories that were emblematic, as these three are, of the story. Because in all three cases, these people are entangled in the political system, they're entangled in the legal system, and they, like the cats themselves, it's interesting, they, like the cats themselves, essentially feel helpless. And you can see, and the reason why we built out their stories is that these people, there's almost a selfish side of this endeavor, which is it's healing. It heals people's souls to help others. And these people choose to help cats. And yet, they themselves are so oppressed. And so really, we felt that in the end of the day, the story really wasn't about cats. It really is about any activist who's out there, who's fighting endlessly and tirelessly and never gives up. And everybody in this room, I know that everybody in this room knows what I'm talking about.
Is there a story that started, there was the overall focus, but there's the story at Seaside, the story at Augusta. Is there one that...
Well, we stumbled across Seaside first. I think what started to happen is I got on a Google feed, and I started to, how when you get into, you're probably a documentary maker yourself, and you start to immerse yourself. So suddenly you think you know a lot about a topic, and you realize you know nothing about a topic. And I started to see this was a very serious issue, and that there were these political fights going on, and that there were ordinances being enacted and then rescinded. And I started to realize we had a political drama on our hands. So once our world opened up on that plane, then people, then we found out about the protests in Hempstead, and then we found out that this couple had been arrested. Yeah. And you know what? We could have done 100 stories, because there are stories like this going on in every town, in every state across the country. Stories just like this. There's most recently a story that passed around on the internet was a woman from Atlanta, a 78-year-old woman, who they were literally carting off to jail for feeding cats. So it's, this isn't fantasy. This is what is happening. But go outside and ask 9 out of 10 people, what's a feral cat, what's TNR, and can you believe somebody's been arrested for feeding and watering cats, and they'd be You must be joking.
Yeah, I was really surprised that I know almost nothing about the issue at all.
Yeah.
Or that certain cities have policies associated with it or programs already in place.
Well, what we really want to do with this film is, we understand that there's, a core part of the population that is involved in TNR, and that, this is their mission. But we really want to break this into being a much bigger conversation. So even if you can't be recruited to go out and do the dirty work that these people do, at least use your voice. At least understand that Fluffy in your house has Fluffy counterpart who's dirty and cold and hungry, and at the very least, needs the protection of a caretaker. So that's what we're trying to do with this film. We want it to be a conversation. We want at least people like yourself to be aware that this is an issue, because it's actually pervasive. I mean, Kathleen OMalley said there are 90 million feral cats in the country. That's a lot of sentient beings, right? That are living in everybody's community. Yeah. So we're hoping to stoke this conversation and tap into, what is a real problem, and help any kind of thinking about legislation to be, to move along.
What would you say were some of the challenges in making the film?
Well, let's see. Money. But we did constantly raise money along the way, which was comforting. The challenges were to not feel crushed ourselves. To not, I have watched this film, I think I've watched it about 100 times at least, and when Stanley sees Callie at the landfill, I cannot stop bawling even till this day. I mean, I understand his pain. So this film is filled with pain, but I was so driven by my 3 heroes, more than 4.
Yeah.
Here, everyone's a hero in who's on the right side of this, and so it's a very painful, emotional topic. I think even if you're not an animal lover, I don't think you can't, be devastated by the thought of all of this.
I thought what was such a challenge, watching it from a story perspective, is how do you weave these stories together, right? Everyone has a different issue, but there's a lot of overlap.
How did we do?
Oh, you did. Did very well. That seemed very challenging. I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about that.
You know what?
And then I'll kick it up to you guys. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Especially the woman who raised her hand. Please, why is he asking all the questions? I get it.
Well, it was challenging. And, whereas we started out with, okay, there's an ordinance that's being rescinded there, and there's a protest that's in Long Island, and there's an arrest here. What Lenin Orsesian, who can't be here today, my film partner, because he's in Greece, lucky him, on vacation, what we both recognized is that this was a film, I said this a moment ago, about people and not cats. And we felt that we had to go deep with the characters, and we felt that we had to really bring them to life and to get people to understand what drives them, what moves them, what allows a lifelong Republican to go Democrat.
He switched.
He
amazing.
But for the animals, and what an older couple will take it to the end of the line, and that's why we built in the story of her sister's murder and her distrust now in the justice system. So we tried to make this more universal so that people could see themselves in these characters. I hope we did okay with that.
I think you guys succeeded. Okay, let's kick it out to the audience for any questions.
Yeah, my principal question is, where would you start? I mean, I live about a block from here, and I've gone around to shelters and to pet stores that sell animals or whatever. I just keep trying to find a way that I can do something in Manhattan, and I haven't been able to. Is there anything going on here?
Yes,
or
there's.
Do you have to go out to Hempstead?
No, not at all. So I don't see Kathleen OMalley here. I know she was here to see the film. I guess she had to leave. But there's the Mayor's Alliance, and we can talk later, and I can give you plenty of No, there's plenty of ways to get involved, and
I was just curious.
Yeah, and that's what we want this film to do. We want people to get involved.
I know in resort towns, that's where you'll find a lot of abandoned dogs and cats at the end of every summer.
Definitely.
They run in packs of dogs, and
But-
people just can't keep up with it.
Right, that's, that's what Pam Ward said, we have a people problem.
Yeah.
Anybody else? Alan?
Is there a particular organization to donate money to where you know the money goes to the right place?
Exactly.
So in everybody's community, there are local TNR groups, and again, I can steer you you're in Comac? Yeah, so I can steer you to see, these people who are out there on the front line, they're using generally their own money to buy food on a constant basis. Neuter is often has there's often a price tag for that, even though it's low, it's a discounted, but still these people are taking their money out of their own pockets, and they do need to be supported. And there are local TNR organizations, so I can certainly steer.
Is there anything there's no national bringing together?
Well, the truth is that Alley Cat Allies counts itself to be the national organization that does this, but I guess through our film we didn't feel that excited about Alley Cat Allies, because we felt that they didn't support Seaside Heights. I personally think, and I think most of the people who are involved on the ground, I know Alice is, that the best thing you can do is to figure out Alice, would you agree with this, like where this is going on locally, and to try to support that local TNR group, right?
Oh, it's about local. Yes.
It's always local.
And that could be
I mean, until this nation starts to think about, laws on this. I mean, Cuomo had a chance to sign a TNR bill. The whole legislature was in favor of it a couple of years ago, and then the Audubon Society got to him, and it never passed. But until we have, from the top down, we have to work grassroots from the ground up on this issue. Yes?
Did the town, was it supervisor, Democrat got elected? Did she reach out to these people? She said she'd show up.
No, and I wanted to make a shout out. We have Stanley Lombardo here. Stanley, can you come on up? Can you come on up here? Is that okay?
Sure.
Thank you.
Job. I really didn't know what to expect, but I was shocked to see what you did here. It was just fantastic. As far as the town is concerned, the question was, I don't need a microphone. Nothing ever moved forward. We tried. Tina set up an appointment for me when the new supervisor won her election, which we helped tremendously to get her voted in. We thought, she made a statement saying our life would be butter and we would have no problem. And it's almost 2 years now, and she kind of lost my phone number and really wanted nothing to do with us. I kind of felt that was going to happen because shortly after she got, and believe me, she called me every day. I was one of her main support people, and shortly after she got elected, I never heard from her.
Of course.
And to me, it was a simple fix. I really didn't see the problem, It's ridiculous. Tina set up an appointment, I think it was in early February, or January, February, and I said, I don't expect her. And she just never showed up. Made some kind of excuse, and you saw what happened. The animals were not being taken care of as far as I was concerned. It was sad. And it's what's gone on there at this point in time, I don't know. People say there were other people doing it, and I pray to God they are. I wasn't looking for a pat on the back. If someone else wants to step up to the plate, do it, The more the merrier, as they say. The more people that could get involved to help, because these colonies take a lot of time. And my problem was, because I lived nearby and I retired, I was going back on my own time. It's a 7-day-a-week job, which includes holidays and weekends. So you can't say, well, I'm off today for Thanksgiving or Christmas, or I'm not working or going near the place, to forget about it. It's just every day. And My important days were the days where I knew it was a ghost town and nobody would be there. And I worked for that system for 29 years, so, you know, I knew the landfill, I knew every inch of property, and the politics end of it just got so involved where they made every excuse under the sun, and not to put me back. And it was political, but they took it out on the animals, and in the end, they suffered, and so did I. I mean, and the money was coming out of my own pocket. I was paying for it, never complained, stayed out of the, you know, stayed off to the side, didn't go in when a place was busy, went very early in the morning. And it's just, it's a shame. You know, I give us so much credit for putting it out because, you know, I'm not the typical cat guy. I just, you know, I like animals. I was a sanitation worker. And I was put there and I saw the problem, and after Sandy, the colony just exploded. And okay, it is what it is. Trapped and neutered. I was doing 2 cats a week until I got them all. And I did almost 40 cats.
Wow.
So where is it now? And what's the problem? I mean, you know, I was willing to pay my way in, just politics. It's really a crime.
I think we have time for one more question.
Can I,
I'm sorry.
Oh.
Not so long, because I could go on about this forever.
No, thank you.
can I make a plea to you?
I'm sorry?
Can I make a plea to you?
Yes.
Please don't go back to the Republican Party.
I made changes, and you know what?
yeah.
I'm just as dangerous on one side as I am on the other.
Well, we need to all write to her, you know, yeah, we do. And I have another question for, is it Tina Traster, is it? Tina, is there any way that big cat food companies like Purina can get involved? Because, well, you know, I told you I feed cats once a week. I work for somebody once a week, and my 9 to 9:20 in the morning job is to go and feed the feral cats on her property. And she's such a magnanimous human being, and she pays for everything every day. And I wrote to Purina, and I wrote them a 2-page letter about her and what she does. And they sent me 5 coupons for a quarter each off dog food or cat food or whatever. And, you know, it shocked the crap out of me. And then she feeds them off of Dixie plates, and I wrote to Dixie, and I heard nothing. I said, can you contribute? So we got about $4 worth of coupons. Is there any way that people like you can reach out to?
I'm going to answer you. The real solution is that this has to be government funded at some point and in some way. And the only way that can happen is with a movement that's strong enough where politicians understand this is what voters want. It's all, like so many things, it comes down to the voters, the booth, the voting booth, okay? Absent government funding for a problem this big, we've got to rely on people like Stanley who are willing to put his hand in his pocket. There is no reason why governments can't allocate, county governments, municipal governments can't allocate money for TNR at the very least, okay, to get cats spay-neutered. And then, let's take the food out of the equation for a second, but if they could fund the spay-neuter and we can reduce the population and we can stop this miserable breeding cycle, okay, then we would start to be looking at a political solution. This is not brain surgery. I mean, to us, it's like,
Simple.
it's so simple. But we're both involved, I'm involved in politics too in my town, and with TNR and education and advocacy, and I see what it's like on the ground. It is such a difficult issue. So until people fill the council room and demand this and write to their public officials and say this is the least that you can do, we are where we are. So it's all about advocacy.